just gave one pain point. They used to give me 10 other pain points. Why would you want to get into a Ola or a Uber when you have a BMW sitting idle at home?
You are watching some pain issues in the society.
Right. Creating a business, but at the same time trying to impact certain lives.
What did you see in the life of those drivers or blue collars workers?
And suddenly, post the lockdown, it came down to 48,000.
I feel like a man's first guru is always a father. What was that feeling you had? What did he say? And has that relationship changed or evolved?
So what you're talking about in terms of a good life, a good salary, a good respect, everything was there.
I'd like to understand the part where you spoke about, so what was that quiet feeling inside you that you didn't want this comfort anymore? You said it to yourself, this is not enough.
Speaking with the drivers is something, we have a team only to do that.
And an important core aspect that you focus on training them.
Your decision making is limited. First thing is we try and understand what their attitude and behavior is like.
Okay. You've recently read or listened to that genuinely changed how you think.
Arundhati Bhattacharya, she's been the chairman of SBI.
Okay.
So quite an inspiring story.
8 years executing someone else's dream. Then one day, enough. Not out of frustration, not out of failure, out of clarity. My guest today, Hitachandra, spent years at Deloitte working on some of the most complex business systems in the world. Oracle EBS, supply chain, global clients across US and India. He was good, he was very good. A man who has mastered his service has already mastered the foundation of sovereignty. He came back to India, saw the same blue-collar workers he had grown up watching around his father's construction business. The same struggle, the same invisibility. This time, he couldn't look away. He built NextDrive, a company that is changing lives of blue-collar workers in India. One driver at a time, 8 years in, still building, still fighting, still growing. Now, most people watch a successful man and ask, what did he build? Today, we're going to ask a different question. How did his mind actually work at every single point where it mattered? Think of this episode as a case study, not of a company, but of a mind. Every segment today is a decision point, a moment where Hitachandra saw something that rest of us walked past and chose differently. We're going to slow down at each of those moments, understand exactly what he saw, what he felt, and how he decided. So today, how he thinks about risk, how he reads markets, how he leads people, what it cost him and what it made him. No filters, no highlight reel, just the real story and the real thinking behind it. This is Soch with Sukhen, people, business, life. Welcome to the podcast, Hita sir.
Thank you, Sukhen.
Thank you for taking time
Good
today.
to be here.
Thank you, sir. I've been knowing you for like 8 years right now and I've seen your journey. So what we'd like to start with is, you had everything in your life, career, fame, comfort, respect. Most people, what they would protect with their life. So what was that quiet feeling inside you that you didn't want this comfort anymore and you said it to yourself, this is not enough?
Okay. So when, whatever you said, right, everything was there. So what you're talking about in terms of a good life, a good salary, a good respect, everything was there. So that is a stagnant line, right? It's a growth. I mean, the graph is like this. Right? That graph is good enough to a certain point, but that is not good enough to raise the adventurous aspect in you. So I always wanted spikes, ups and downs. I knew that getting out of that comfort zone would obviously be spike, up and down, right? But I wanted that. So that's when I took that plunge, saying that working somewhere, working for a steady life is not going to be enough. And if we're doing it now, will happen. If not, few more years, it won't happen. So when we got into business and when we started this one, that was the only decision which took us some time to start. But that was the main reason behind that. That stagnation was not enough.
So, but what were you feeling like, what were you actually feeling on that day when you had to take this decision? Okay, I'm going to start this business of NextDrive. What thought that made you feel like this is gold?
So it's a mix of excitement and a slight fear. Okay, so excitement for the feel of what I wanted to do, start something and do something about what is a major problem in the society, start something about that. And then the second thing is the fear. Again, it's a comfortable life. Everything was going well. So from that to this, there's a slight amount of fear. But that was there for probably a couple of days, that fear. That excitement killed that fear. And if you ask me if you have ever go back and think back to that decision, I would say never. And I always feel that what I took as a decision that particular day is the best decision till date.
You've been saying like fear. So what was that fear about, sir? Whether how will this go? How will this whole project be? Or how will your time be utilized?
So the fear is about, see, when you're working in a corporate, when you're working in a salaried this thing, no matter what, end of the month, you get one SMS. Right, with your this is what has been deposited into your account, and this is your bank balance. But when you change your career path, when you become an entrepreneur, when you start something, you are responsible for making sure that that SMS goes to everyone.
100%.
Right, so that is the fear. Will you be able to live up to that expectation? And what if we don't get that? How will your family run? So all those fears are there. So that was was the slight fear. But the confidence that we had in ourselves and the confidence that we had in the idea that we were about to start in terms of NextDrive, so that was far superior than the fear. As I said, like it was just a couple of days that fear sustained. So after that, it was all about what are we going to do with this? How are we going to grow this? How are we going to create a revolution in the world? So that's what it was all about. So the excitement overtook the fear.
So for someone like me sitting on the same table across you, having that same itch, what's the actual test you'd ask me or you'd ask any individual or an entrepreneur to run themselves to understand before making a call like this?
So I'll tell you a little story here, Sukhen. So before starting this, before starting NextDrive, there was one more idea. Okay, so which we had. Okay, so the reason I'm telling you this story is because you asked of how you test yourself, right? So whether this will work or not. Okay, so that was an idea about creating a unique medical ID. Okay, the idea was you walk into any hospital paperless. You walk out of any hospital paperless. So that was the idea. But this idea was something that we came up in 2011. If I'm not wrong, 2011, 2012 was when we came up with this idea. Okay, and we did a lot of market research on this. Market research as in we spoke to Apollo, spoke to Yashoda, we spoke to CARE and all that. And all of them were okay with the concept of having a digital record. Okay, of the test reports, of the medical records of patients. But they were not okay to share it with other hospitals. And the idea was great. The idea was appreciated. We were very super excited about the idea. But who is going to pay for it? We were not able to find a paying customer. Okay, and we kind of built a prototype. If I'm not wrong, we spent about 6 months on that. 6 months on that idea. But of course, I was still working at that point in time. But like it was just a side hustle that I've started it as, and tried and tested it out, as in like build a prototype, spoke to different people, and wanted to evaluate of who would pay for that, right? And the answer was no one was willing to pay. The end user, like the customer, they were like, I am happy carrying a file. I don't have any problem. The hospitals were not ready to pay. So we realized that it was too early for that idea. Now what the Prime Minister Modi is speaking about is a unique ID for health records, and all this digitization has happened now. But that was like way before this time.
Almost
so it was like it was like too early at that point in time. At that point, even Practo and all those were like like just at the very early stages. Like, so that's where we realized that that's not an idea that is going to fly. Even though it was like very exciting, even though we did research in US as well, US, Europe, Australia as well. But the regulations were so strong there that we had to spend a lot of money and time to regulate that. So coming back to the question that you asked, so when you want to start something, right, the enthusiasm about your idea, because it's your idea, it's like kind of your brainchild, right? So you'd be very excited. But point that you have to evaluate is who is going to buy this, who is going to need this, and who is going to pay for this. If you're getting confidence on those areas, right, then you take the plunge. That risk is worth the risk. But if you feel that like no one is going to buy, no one is going, take your decision based on data. Don't go with your gut feeling, right? So if your data says that yes, people are there who are willing to pay for this, then go for it. That's what it is. So that's what has happened as well. So to 2011, 12, this didn't work. And then 3-4 years, like came up with multiple ideas, multiple thoughts, but nothing actually conceptualized. But in 2016-17, when we thought about this blue tech platform and all, there was a lot of acceptance and there's a lot of encouragement from people, and they were giving out ideas and they were sharing. When I just gave one pain point, they used to give me 10 other pain points.
Oh.
So which was like very encouraging. So that's what made me take this plunge.
Interesting. So you came back to India and you still worked at Deloitte for some time.
Correct.
You still had the comfort. I feel like you were watching something. You were watching some pain issues in the society.
Right.
What did you see in the life of those drivers or blue collars workers when you came back that you couldn't unsee?
Right. So, we come from a construction background,
Yes.
right? That is one. And so earlier when we started, like this was, I'm talking about early 90s. Okay. So at that point, we had workers on our payroll. So where we had our own team. So I'm not talking about the back end office. We had a workforce, the construction workforce who were employed by us. That's how the industry was at that point in time, right? And from that point, most of the workers who were with us were from Ongole or Srikakulam, from the Andhra or Telangana areas. They were Telugu people. But now, if you look at it, you wouldn't even find a single worker, or single might be a wrong word, but less than 5 to 10% of people who belong to Andhra and Telangana.
Okay.
There's a huge deficit of workforce today, and a lot of people come from other states and all that. And how do you find them? See, you need, if you have to build a building, like say you're building 1 lakh square feet, you need a lot of people.
Yeah.
But how do you find those people? And how do you know that they know how to what, right? You're building, you're doing the centering work, you're doing the plastering work, you're doing the brick work, whatever, electric work. Say all these are key things, right? You're going to sell it to a house who will trust on your construction and then live there. But how do you make sure that they're trained enough to make the right things, right? So that's where that gap was visible, first thing. And second thing, while working in Deloitte itself, so there was a huge parking problem, okay? And there was not enough parking. So people used to come into the office office used to start at 11 o'clock. People used to come in at 9:30 just to get a parking spot.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a huge visible pain point. And how do you address that? That's where this idea of, so these two are the trigger points of, in a country like India, where people say that we are so populated, and at the other end, people who need someone to take care of certain aspect are saying that we're not able to find people, right? So where is the gap? So that's where it all started. So that's where, when we figured out not enough skilled workforce that is available, or enough skilled and trained workforce that is not available in the market to meet the right business requirement. So that is where this all started, and that's where the platform started.
So most people, they see these problems and then somebody else will handle it. What made you, what made ignoring this impossible to you?
So that's probably the entrepreneurial bug that is there in you. So that's been there for quite a lot of years. So the first, if you ask me, when did I first start making money? So it was in grade 9. Okay, in school. So we had a science fair, and each student of class 9 was supposed to, so it was given to the class 9 students to run the science fair. Okay, so every student was expected to come up with some project or the other. So for me, luckily, I made 3 projects. So I got 3 different ideas at that point in time, and I made 3 projects. But all I need is 1. So what do I do with the other 2? So there were other members who didn't have that, who were looking for some idea or something. So started selling it. So there was a lot of acceptance, as in those 2 were sold off in very quick time. So I came up with a couple of more ideas. And so in total, made 5 projects. And so that's where I started first making money. So every time there's something that is there, every opportunity that you see and every pain point that you see, something clicks in the mind of how you can address that. Or is it, if something is going on well, so what can you do differently to make it more exciting? So that's been there always. So that's why, as I said earlier, so earlier when I told you about the medical records thing,
Yes.
so each time I used to go to the hospital for a checkup, or like with someone parents or something, like carrying that files, and like that was like printing out, wasting out so much of paper, was kind of a pain point that I saw. So that's where I thought of this idea and came up with that idea. So everything that is out there triggers something in the mind. So that's how it's been always, and it still happens. So even today, if you ask me, every day some or the other business idea comes up. But what you pursue, how much time you can dedicate to that, and all that is a different aspect. I have a Excel sheet and a huge document with all these ideas noted down.
Wow.
At some point, eventually, maybe a few more will come out, hopefully. So that's what it is at this.
Yes, sir. But I've seen you how passionately you speak about these blue tech workers. How much do you want to impact their lives and all? It also, I feel that somewhere it is maybe was there a personal element to it? So like growing around your father's construction business and all, was there something you saw in those people that you felt like?
Obviously, yeah. So it's not just that, right? So we, right from childhood, we have had multiple businesses. So construction is one. We had transport business also.
Okay.
So we had lorries which we used to use for transportation of sand and all that. So I've seen a lot of people around, like different working class and different backgrounds that they come from. And right from the beginning, I always had that urge or as in like what you call that, that small itch to always talk to them people and understand what is happening and all that. And what you go through in your day-to-day lives and what they go through in their day-to-day lives is quite different. So to a great extent, we should feel privileged of what we have at this point, right? So, but there are a lot of people who need a lot of support in terms of education, be it health, etc. So creating a business, but at the same time trying to impact certain lives, if not everyone, at least a few lives that you can touch and create something for them.
100%.
That's what has been there for quite some time, and maybe that's how this formulated and that's how this came out as well.
So I think what comes to my mind right now is like, father's construction business for 40 years, and I feel like a man's first guru is always a father.
Right.
And his first primary area is his family. So your father has been into the construction business for 40 years, around with the workers, around his whole life. So looking back now, what he actually was teaching you about with those workers, sir, and what did you get to understand about their dignity and their struggle that you couldn't see as a child? Like, now I see how passionate you are. But back then, what was that feeling you had looking at them?
Right. So at that point, you wouldn't go into the details, right? So you're always cushioned.
Of course.
So see, they would come, need some money or something. That you were never exposed to that area at that point in time, right? So they need something. So there's a medical emergency in certain workers' family, or some injury has happened, some tragedy, or some good things like the marriage is there and all that. And you will not be able to understand a lot of things at that point when you're a kid. And at the same time, you wouldn't be able to come up with an answer of how you can help them at that point also, right? So those things are usually cushioned at that age. And but as you grow up, you do understand. So you do understand a lot of things, but your decision making is limited. At that point. You'll be able to only put in a word, put in a point of view, but beyond that, it is limited. And from that point to being a decision maker, there's been a lot of back and forth that happens, but that exposure has kind of opened up the mind. So that's what is probably the root cause also of why we started this.
So growing up around your father's business, what is that one thing you saw back then you thought was old fashioned, but now it makes completely sense?
So his style was very different. So typical to that generation, where he used to have, the projects were one after the other. So today, if you look at the construction industry, each builder runs 5, 6, 7, 10 projects at one go, correct? But back then, even though there was an opportunity, he always had this concept of one project after the other. The point was start this project, finish this project. While it's in the finishing stages, we should start the next project. And the funds that we get out of this project, should be used for the next one. So it's never the outside money, never borrow money from anyone to run our business. So that was the whole concept that he went with. Okay, and that was what has given us consistent both peace of mind and consistent growth. But if you compare it to today's world, it looks a little old-fashioned.
Yep.
But if you think back, if today, if you look at the real estate market and the construction space, it's in a down cycle, right? So it's there's a slowdown that happens in every market. So it goes up, it goes down. It's always a cycle. The market is a cycle. So if you have to survive the down cycles, so such tactics and such techniques are always a safe bet. If you borrow money and if sales are not happening, so the interest rates and the pressure that kills the business and kills your peace of mind.
True.
So such things make sense today as well. So that is something which I've learned the hard way.
Very nice. So when you came back from the Deloitte life and everything, and when you said you're coming back to India, and you told your father you're not joining the construction business, you want to build something in the tech side. What did he say, and has that relationship changed or evolved over through the time by building the NextDrive company?
So this conversation happened when I picked up my engineering. Okay, so not after Deloitte or anything. So this conversation happened right at that point. Okay. So he wanted me to become a civil engineer because he himself is a civil engineer in the construction side. So it made perfect sense to do civil engineering and then join him. At that point, I was not very interested. I was very keen on doing electronics and communication engineering, and then going abroad. So I was very clear on that point that I wanted to go out of India. Okay, so that was at that point in time. So and then I chose, and we had a conversation, and he had his reasons, and I had my reasons, but that changed nothing, in fact. So he was okay with the point that I wanted to take electronics, and I did that. And I finished, and then I went to UK, and then I studied there, then worked in the tech industry throughout. And when I came back as well, I came back working in Deloitte itself. It was not that I quit Deloitte in US. I was working in US in Deloitte, and I moved to Deloitte India, and I continued working there. And at that point also, there was no pressure at all. And once I decided to start this company, NextDrive. So that's when again thought through, like, okay, if I'm starting this, we already have this construction. So why not be part of both? Right. So because if you look at the construction industry, as I said earlier also, we always had that traditional approach. So we finished a project, and even though we have been in the industry for 40 years, we never built a brand on the construction side because it was always the traditional way. So you finish a project, you move on, and then you start a new project with different partners and different company names and all that. So that's how the traditional way back in the 90s was. So that's how it always happened. So the brand was never there. So if you ask me, like, I can show you multiple projects that we have completed, but each will be a different name, and each will be a different brand, right? So that uniqueness never came out, right? So that's again something that I wanted to build on the construction side as well. So let's take this up also in a very professional way, where we build a brand around the construction thing. And then that's when I started this, like, we came out with both the things. I started being part of both. So, and that's been how it's been for all these past years. So I'm part of both the companies now.
So, like, if we speak about drivers, and NextDrive as the company,
right.
So the market, like Ola and Uber, they have come into the country with billions of dollars, sharpest of the minds as the CEOs. They still could not crack a certain points in this market. All right. If you see Driverzz has studied that space and has carefully studied the space before moving. What did you see that the market told you there is a specific gap that you're uniquely positioned in that market? So what was that gap? So
the primary reason is, see, Ola, Uber are there. And their target market is slightly different to what we target. So you are a car owner. You have a BMW. Okay. And you need to go out. You're not in a position to drive for whatever reasons. Okay. Why would you want to get into a Ola or a Uber when you have a BMW sitting idle at home?
Of course.
It's your car, your comfort. All you need is someone to take you from point A to point B. And there are a lot of such people. And so, for example, today while coming here, I have a car. I can drive. Everything is there. I don't need a driver at all. But I know what if I don't get a parking spot? Only for a parking spot, I need a driver. Fine, why not? So all such cases were were the points which we used as our USP, and that is the gap that we addressed with drivers. So all we say is your car, your comfort. All we will give you is a driver, and you will not lose out on anything.
So for someone looking at a crowded market, what's the actual process to find a gap, sir? Gap like this? It's like a researched, or is it a living experienced, or a mix of both, sir?
So I would say eyes and ears always on the ground. Okay. When you say eyes and ears always on the ground, you talk to people.
Okay.
You talk to your customers. You talk to your potential customers. You understand what is happening. You listen to what is it that is stopping them from growing, or you listen to what is it that is creating a pain point for them. And if you're able to come out with a solution for that, that is what will give you a business idea, right? So that is, and the other thing that where your acumen comes in is how do you monetize on that? So you have a pain point.
Yep.
But how do you monetize on that? Unless you get revenue out of it, the business doesn't make any sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
So these are the things that you'll always have to keep in mind.
Fair enough.
So that's what has always happened to us. As I said earlier also, we figured out a problem where there was no parking. So what is the solution to that? Okay, so at that point, what I did was, initially there was a huge problem in the parking space there in Deloitte. Okay. So then one conversation I had with the head of operations at that point, saying that why don't you hire an open piece of land around this building, hire a few drivers and create a valet and let the employees pay. You don't have to pay, and let them take the risk and let them. So at that point they were all parking on the roads, and which was being challaned by the traffic police and all, right? And there's a high risk of parking on the road as well, right?
Of course.
So why not create a place where you can let the employees park the vehicles and do that? They were not too keen on that because it creates additional operational issues for them, and they were not too keen. So how do we then address this? So that's where it all started. So then we thought then the other point was I had a driver at that, and there were 20 to 30 people like me who had their full-time drivers. All these guys used to sit there idly. So they used to have a group kind of thing. They used to play cards. They used to chit chat, because we used to go at 9:30, 10 in the morning, and back by 7:30, 8 there was nothing.
Nothing to do.
So all that was idle time.
Idle time.
So that's where did a small experiment. Okay, so you can call it as market research or experiment, however you call it. So what I asked my driver was, why don't you go stand outside? There are a lot of people waiting there, right? They're waiting for their parking spot. So why not show your ID card? Tell them that you work for someone in the company. Tell them that you will wait instead of them, okay? And give them your phone number, everything. And you wait in the car instead of that person. And you park the car 2 hours later or 3 hours later, and then take 100 rupees from them. Let's see how it works out. And this guy, instead of sitting there idly, he started waiting outside, and on a daily basis he used to make money. And people were also employees were paying happily, because all they were paying is 100 rupees.
100 rupees.
Versus 1.5, 2 hours of wait time.
100%.
And there were instances where if they didn't get a parking spot, they used to wait outside in the car, and they used to take calls from outside in the car. So instead of that, paying 100 rupees was a much easier
better
thing for them. And this was a very successful thing, right? Where you have a pain point from the customer's point of view, and there's a driver who is sitting idle. There's idle capacity that is available.
Yes.
And all I did was an experiment, map this pain point with this idle capacity, correct? And so that was where the actual research started. And then I realized, how do I monetize? So what is the right pricing for this? There's no benchmark. At that point, there never existed a benchmark of how much are the customers willing to pay.
Exactly.
So is it 100 rupees? What if I price it at 1,000? Will the customer be willing to pay? Maybe not. What about 500? Will we make money out? Will the driver be okay to take, say, if he's making 100, if I pay him only 50 and I take 50, will he be okay? So all those were other decisions that we had to take. So that's where all that research, brainstorming and all that happened. And that's how this platform thing triggered.
It's a fabulous idea, sir. You figure out a pain point and see an idle capacity. And build the gap.
See how you monetize on it and build a business out of it.
It's more like a business tool to look forward to. 100%. Yeah. So most blue collar, most companies treat blue collars workers as liabilities. you treat them as, people that need to be developed or trained. Break down this business model, sir, where does the actual value in this whole system get created? Where does the money come from? What does the NextDrive genuinely find difficult to copy?
Okay, so I'll give you one more example. So we have B2B business.
Yeah.
In Driverzz, we have 3 elements. So one of it is the B2B part. This again, as I said earlier, keeping our eyes and ears to the ground is where we got this also. So initially when we started off, we only started off as B2C. Then we had an ad on a bus where it was seen by one of our now customers. At that point, just a passerby. He was at a traffic signal, the bus stopped and his car also stopped next to the bus which had an ad of Driverzz.
Yes.
He saw that and he had a huge pain point where he runs a service center. He has a showroom, car sales showroom, and he has a service center. And for them, their primary business is selling cars and servicing the vehicles. But all the customers need pickups and drops of the cars.
Of course.
Right? That's a huge ask from all the customers. They had to maintain Driverzz for that. But for that, which is not their core business. See, that's what, referring again back to my earlier point, this is a huge pain point for them. But for us, it's a business. Right? And they were like having to have two or three supervisors. Then they had to manage this, and these guys, they don't show up. They suddenly call and say that today I'm not available and all. All that was becoming a huge risk for them. Risk not in terms of business risk, but a customer satisfaction risk. That was what was happening. So that's where we came in. So when he saw that ad, he called us for a meeting and said, this is one of the pain points that we have. How can you address this? Until that point, we never thought about that this is a market that existed. We never even evaluated and ventured into that area. But the moment we heard this person speak about the pain point, we said, yes, we can definitely do it. And we will come back to you within a week of how we can deploy and what we can do and all that. And that meeting was a start point for something that we do currently, which generates 70% of our revenue today.
Fabulous.
So that's how this B2B segment started for us. And that's what, listening to the customers, understanding what they go through and what is their pain point, gives us new business ideas and new models as well. Even valet is something that we do. That again started off as a request from a customer. And today we have exclusive tie-ups with convention centers.
Yes.
Where any event that happens, we do the valet, complete valet. Be it like 30 drivers, 50 drivers, whatever is the count, we can do that. So all these are evolutions of what we initially started from what came out as pain points from the customers.
So basically what NextDrive does is point A to point B in every area.
Yeah.
In every area, let it be drivers, let it be parking slots, let it be other aspects.
Right. But again, as you said earlier, so what is the factor that differentiates us, right? So it's not only about just giving a driver.
Yeah.
Right. If it's just giving a driver, anyone and everyone can
Exactly.
do it. Right. And at the same time, not just building a simple app. App nowadays is like become a very common thing.
Yeah.
Everyone can build it. It's not about that. How you run your operations, how you track, how you handle the core metrics. So you need to understand few things, right? So for example, for a B2B customer, for them, the punctuality and reliability are the two most important factors.
True.
Right? If they tell a customer saying that a driver will come pick up your vehicle at say 9 a.m. We have to make sure that 9 a.m. promise made by our customer to their customer is met. So that is the reliability factor, right? Reliability is a driver showing up, but punctuality is where he's showing up on time. So these are two very critical points for any customer. So tracking all these, training a blue-collared person on these elements. These are not easy elements. See, if you look at white-collared people, even if it's an IT company, expecting people to maintain a certain amount of dedication is very difficult. With blue-collared, it's even difficult because they don't understand the dynamics of how it works and all that, right? So training them on these aspects and training them to be groomed. So that's another element. Not only grooming, it's soft skills as well. How you talk to the customer, how you greet them. All these are like very, very critical and important elements.
100%.
And these don't come easily. And operations, telling it to you might sound very simple, but actually running all these things behind the scenes is a massive thing. So that's what we excel in. So that's what, if you look at it, a lot of people ask me, this is a very simple idea. What is it that is so great in it? Money, just pumping in money won't help.
100%.
Just building a tech won't help. It's a combination of all these things, and how you plan and how you actually execute it is what differentiates, and that's what we have accepted.
I'd like to understand the part where you spoke about the operations part of the business and also training the blue collars.
Correct.
If you can give us some framework or some day-to-day processes you have.
Right. Okay. So, as I said, eyes and ears open to the ground is what I told you earlier, right? So, this is from a customer point of view.
Yes.
We do the same for our drivers also. It's not just understanding what a customer needs. Okay, you have a pain point from a customer point of view, but who is the person who is actually doing it for you? Who is the face of your brand?
Yeah.
It's the driver. So how do you understand what the driver goes through in his day-to-day life is also very important for us. So we understand, we do a one-to-one mapping of who are the guys. We don't put everyone and anyone in every aspect of our business, right? So certain drivers are only mapped for valet parking.
Okay.
Certain drivers are only mapped for B2C. Certain guys are only mapped for B2B. So this we understand the drivers. How do they react? How is their ownership of different activities that they are assigned to? What has been their track record? And we test them. We test them for quite some time, and only after that we map them to the customers based on where they will fit in best. And after that, it's a continuous process where we constantly track them on every aspect, right? So how are they going on time? How are they going to the customer? As in how are they? We take feedback. Feedback is something that is very, very, very important for us, okay? So every element we test, we put it through our framework. What are the different elements that we have received feedback on? And then we try and speak with the driver. Speaking with the drivers is something, we have a team only to do that. As in these guys train the drivers, these guys speak with them, understand what they're going through, and how do you make sure that we guide them, counsel them.
And an important core aspect that you focus on training them. What are the kind of questions or discussions that have been given to them, sir?
So if a driver walks in, right? So we first thing is we try and understand what their attitude and behavior is like.
Okay.
So everything is tech for us. So we believe in a paperless office. We can do the recruitment online as well. But one thing that we have purposefully kept as an offline activity is to make sure that the recruitment happens only in person, where every driver that joins us comes to our office. So a lot of drivers, they come with I wouldn't say it's a personal choice rather.
Yeah.
A lot of them come with chewing gutka. Okay. And that's a personal choice.
Yeah.
But that is not something that we want our drivers to do when they are on duty with us. When they're working with us, when they're going to a customer on a trip, they shouldn't be doing it. And that is first of all a red flag to us, because it's like we tell them that there'll be a short interview. If someone is walking in to an interview chewing gutka, that's not a very positive sign.
True.
So we have all these kinds of observations, and then we kind of do a drive test. So we have a 48-point checklist of how they are driving. So when we talk about driving, a lot of elements. Like one example is, are they checking the blind spots?
Okay.
A lot of customers don't even understand what a blind spot is, right? So, but we check all those things. How are they using the indicators? So, if an indicator has to be switched on, before the turn, how many meters before the turn are they switching it on?
Yes.
Is it like 100 meters, 300 meters, 10 meters? And how abruptly are they turning? How are they braking? So all such elements are tested. Okay. Then during that test, we also have conversations with them. So we ask them to fill in an application form and all that. Well, a lot of questions about what their education is and all that. It's not that what they have studied matters, but how they are answering to those questions is what matters. So all those are measured. So it's not a objective test, like where we say that okay, this checkbox is done well. No, it's more of a subjective observation that our team does. Okay, how are they responding? How is their attitude towards the questions that we have been asking? Are they patient enough to take care of things, or are they too impulsive? Are they rude? All these things are checked, and certain elements are there which are coachable.
Yeah.
If we find that the person is coachable, we take them in. Then we constantly coach them. But if there are certain elements which are red flags, we don't even take them. So those are some of the things that we check. It's again not a very objective thing where I can put in saying like we measure them on like 100 metrics or like 10 metrics and all that. It's like subjective, and a lot of conversations happen. Like it's all about conversations, engagement, understanding. Only then we take a call and then we hire them. That's what it is about.
So you build NextDrive around like a lot of emotion and purpose.
Correct.
Helping people, trying to change their lives for better. Business also requires a lot of, hard or sometimes cold calls.
Correct.
And have you ever had to kill something, a product, a feature, or probably an idea that you were emotionally attached to? And if you did, how did you actually make that call? And when big decisions come up like this, how do you take the decision? Is it mostly from your gut, or do you go by the numbers?
Okay. So, 2 examples I'll tell you. One, I think I've already told you, where it might not be related to NextDrive, but one of my first very passionate business idea was that medical records idea.
Yes.
Right? So, spent 6 months. 6 months on that, trying to build a prototype, trying to speak to a lot of people, very connected to it.
Yeah.
But realized that it's not going to work out at this point in time. Right? So you have to kill it. You can't keep running something which has no future at that point, right? So maybe at a future point, but at that point it didn't make sense. So you had to kill it. So just to take that decision, almost a couple of weeks were spent, where trying to understand what else can be done on this, trying to see who else can we speak with, what else can be done. Two complete weeks were spent on making that decision of whether to run this further or to kill it. And end of the day, see, the gut always rules.
Okay.
If you ask me, in a battle of heart versus brain, which wins? The heart always wins. That's my feel. Okay.
Fabulous.
So the decision was always from the heart, even though it was very close to the heart. It has to be from the heart.
Of course.
And when you have something fixed on your in your heart, the brain always aligns to it. So the data always, you look at the data and it always falls in place in that line. So that's what has always happened to me. I wouldn't generalize the statement to everyone, but that's how it has always been for me. And so at that point, that was how it was. And again, when it comes to NextDrive, similar thing happened when COVID hit. Right? So we had to restart everything.
Yes.
So from a month before COVID, the lockdown was announced, we were running very well and we were doing a beautiful business. B2C was very strong at that point in time.
Yes.
And we were doing very well. A lot of customer acquisition happening organically. We're growing tremendously. Suddenly COVID comes and shut down. And every driver equally clueless as how we were at that point when, this I'm talking about March 2020, like a few years ago, right? So we were equally clueless, drivers were equally clueless, employees were clueless, everything was like chaotic. You were like, and then that fear was there. We didn't have that control on the virus, right? So we didn't know what was going to hit us.
100%.
So everything was very chaotic. What do you do at that point in time? Then, kind of COVID started getting better, as in like lockdown got relaxed and all, and our revenues were like pathetic, as in like we were running like around 18 to 20 lakhs a month pre-COVID, and suddenly post the lockdown it came down to 48,000. That was what it was. At that point again the dilemma started. So do we run this? Will we be in a position to run this going forward? Will people start letting, see, COVID, right? So at that point, if you remember back, everyone was scared. We were not even allowing our any others to come into our houses, known people, into a car, which is a closed space.
Scary.
Would customers be comfortable in doing that? Was what the question was. So can we run this? Will we be able to sustain? Will we be able to grow back? It was again a very challenging decision at that point in time. So again, lot of thought process, lot of brainstorming internally within myself and all that also happened at that point in time. Then again, what has happened is, in the heart, I knew that this is not something that we should be doing.
Of course.
We cannot. It might be a temporary thing. We haven't given it enough time to take a call on. Let's run it for some more time. And we kept running it that. And the sliver of hope was when, even at that point in time, we were adding customers. In the month where I spoke about, we just made 48,000. In that particular month, we added 4 new customers.
Okay.
So that was kind of a little hope.
Hope.
Saying that, okay, even though we were not doing well, still new people are coming in. It might just be a temporary thing. How would giving it some more time, let it settle down, let's see how things go, then we will see how we will make a decision on this. And by God's grace or by whatever it is, things started getting better month after month. So we then focused a lot on B2B. And B2B again was, at that point, it was like kind of, you're not getting into the car, you're giving your car to someone and then sending it off.
Yes.
So that was also a good thing for customers because they didn't have to come out and go to the service center or anything. So all those things help. And that's where we again re-picked up and restarted, and we made a few changes to our operational model and all that as well. And we again came back up. Maybe it took us a year to actually come back into normalcy, but we came back.
Speaks a lot about patience in crisis, sir.
Right.
And would you like to, like I'd like to understand in that whole post-COVID era when the company was on the downside, how as a company owner, founder, how are you handling your team and the people, especially the blue collar people who are more emotional towards these situations? How are you handling all these situations? So how were you feeling about it? Like how were you dealing with it?
So one point is the trust factor. So employees, see, one is the drivers, second is employees.
Yeah, of course.
So our employees were the core at that point where they had to speak with the drivers.
Yes.
They had to be constantly be in touch with the drivers and all that. So these guys had to have the strength first. So so at that point, luckily what has happened was all the people that were with us for quite a few years.
Okay.
So they kind of had that trust.
Yeah.
So they knew that even though today it might not be good, but tomorrow it will be good. So was the hope that they had and the trust that they had on us. So first was we talking to them, and then we were constantly in touch with all the drivers. Personally, me and also our employees, our staff. So we tried speaking with them. A lot of them went back to their villages.
Yeah.
So because they were all like, some of them who were living in in the what do you call in the hostels and all that. They couldn't stay there, right? So at that point they took a call of moving back and all that. But we were in touch with most of them, literally everyone who were with us, actively engaged at that point. And whatever that we could do to support them, whatever we could do to help them, we tried and did that. But that's all we could do. So try and empathize with them and support to whatever extent possible. And not only just within ourselves, but we used a network also at that point.
Okay.
Wherever anyone needed support, anything that was needed. So in our network, if we are not able to do something in our network, were we able to do something about it?
Of course.
So all that we did. So that's all we could do at that point.
So I've personally watched you in BNI rooms, and I have seen the way you handle people, conflict, and networking also in a way where you earn respect. Definitely earn respect, not just attention. But so if your team had to describe your biggest strength as a leader, what would they say, and what would be the blind spot they'd only tell you if they were being brutally honest?
So one thing that I personally believe and also which I've tried to push through my team is reasons are for losers, results are for winners. Okay, so if there is an issue, right, let's find a solution to it. Issues do happen to us on a day-to-day basis, and multiple issues come up. So what is our approach? What is our mindset? Right? Are we trying to find a reason to justify what has happened is wrong, or are we trying to figure out what has gone wrong and we are trying to come up with a solution for that? So when we talk about the team, we don't get into every decision making. It's not correct also. It's if I'm sitting down and making every decision, then I am becoming a bottleneck to the team. Let them take the decision. So one thing that I do personally is I've built a team, and the team that and one philosophy that we have in our company is we don't hire anyone at a senior level.
Okay.
So people who are with us have to grow with us. So that's what we believe. And today, if I have to tell the person who heads our operations, he joined us way back in 2017. And today he heads our operations. He has grown with the company, right? So and it's kind of a trust that we have, and we give that decision making power to him. Okay, is it 100% that the decisions are right? Maybe not. But okay, what's wrong in taking a wrong decision? Let them experiment. Like, haven't we taken wrong decisions as business owners? We have, right? But how well do you realize, and how soon do you realize that that's a wrong decision? And how do you correct that is what we train the team in. And that is what is the fact. And as business owners, what we do is making sure that every decision or everything, every metrics rather, not decision, every metrics that is there is not falling back. If some, say for example, customer rating, okay, so that is a metrics. Is it going up or is it going down? If it's going down, then that means that something is not right. That's how we measure. Not like every feedback that comes in, like say a customer gives feedback saying that a driver has come late. You don't get into it and try and resolve it. Right? So that becomes like, there's no point in having a team. Okay, is that consistently happening? If like out of 100 trips, your drivers are going late for 1 trip or 50 trips or 100 trips, that is what you measure at. And based on that, you take a decision. Whether you have to get involved into that or not is what you look at based on the numbers.
Okay.
So that's how we measure, that's how we give the freedom to the team. And that is the philosophy that we built in to the team as well. So come up with answers. And it's like, if you have an issue, don't come and tell me that this is an issue. Okay, if you're stuck on something, come with an issue, come up with what are the options of how we can address that.
Okay.
And if you're not able to make a decision on which option to pick, that's where I'll help you.
Okay.
Not with trying and solving every issue for you.
Of course.
So that's how we have built the team as well.
So what's that one thing you've actively changed about yourself? Realizing this was a blind spot and this is holding you or the company back or the employees back? So
blind spot, very interesting point. So again, when something which is not of the quality that is expected. So you've known me for quite some years.
Yes.
So one thing that personally I have is like a lot of OCD elements. So where I need everything to be in a certain way, even the output that we expect from our trips and quality of the drivers and all that is also something that keeps bothering me. That used to bother me a lot earlier, but I realized that a lot of patience is needed. So that is what I've trained myself over the years. And that used to be a blind spot. I still do get impatient at times when I hear certain issues, but I try and put them in a mental framework and try and see, should I snap at it? Should I get mad at it? Should I let it go? This is what a decision that I take with some amount of calmness. That is what I learned over the years.
But do you also see what it costs you or your team?
It does. It does. And obviously there's a cost element to it.
Of course.
There are areas where you might lose a customer.
Of course.
Correct. So, but snapping at people, right? Snapping at people, shouting at people, always, that might cost you more. So you have to evaluate that, right? Earlier, the instinctive reaction is like snap. That's natural human tendency. But understanding the cost of what to do at every scenario is what I've built over the years. And that is where the patience element comes in. I'm still trying to get it, but I'm trying to develop it.
So you just said about some framework too, if you are about to see a area that is something as per not you're finding it up to your notch.
Right.
What is that framework you tell yourself mentally?
Correct. So say I'll take today's example. Okay. So I was expecting the driver at 10 a.m.
Okay.
And because I planned to start at 10, because I knew that this is going to take an hour. And then the driver showed up at 10:15.
Okay.
He has his reasons.
Yeah.
Okay. So instinctive reaction is I'm getting late. I know that I'll be here by 11:10, 11:15. But shouting at him, that is the impulsive reaction.
Of course.
So that's where that framework is. So what do I do now? Pause for a second, just 3 seconds, just before you shout or before you do anything. Pause for 3 seconds or 2 seconds and understand what is the cost. Now if I shout at him, I'm giving my keys to him, as in like I'm giving the car to him. It'll spoil his mood also. It'll impact the whole drive. Do I want to do that? So the next 45-50 minutes is critical, where I have to make a few calls and all that. So spoiling his mood just for a 15-minute delay, or calling Sukhen and telling him, Sukhen, I'll be late by 10 minutes, whichever is easier. That's what I did. I didn't say anything to him. I just called you and tell I'll be slightly delayed. So that 3-second pause is what is needed.
3-second pause can change a lot of things.
Yeah, but it doesn't happen always. But luckily it happened today.
Good.
Yeah.
So I've seen you. You clearly love networking. I've seen you just don't attend rooms. You kind of command them. Like, what's actually happening in your head when you're entering a room like that? Is there a method, or has it become an instinct? Or what would you tell someone who finds networking a bit exhausting or fake?
So for me, networking, I'm an introvert. If you look at it, I don't go talk to people.
Okay.
Unless I know them. Okay. So when I go network or go attend any event, I believe in one thing. If you've heard me speak also earlier, so the point that I try and emphasize is quality over quantity. So usually for one of the previous talks that I did also was at 3 a.m. if you're stuck, if you have to pick up your phone book and call people, how many people will answer your call? How many people do you even have on your phone book that will pick up your call at 3 a.m. Right? So if you have 10,000 contacts, if you pick up your phone, you would probably have 2,000-3,000 contacts. That's quantity. But how many actually pick up your call at 2 a.m.? That is what is quality according to me. I mean, I'm just putting it in raw terms. So when I put it in a professional term as well. So again, if I go into a room, like you find 100 people, talking to 100 people is quantity. But how many would you actually connect with? And how many will open up their network to you? And it doesn't happen over just one exchange of business card. If you have noticed me, I never carry business cards.
Likewise, yeah.
And it's been years since I've carried business cards. So whoever I feel that this is a person that I can connect with, I give them the number. And opening up your network to someone else. So I know Sukhen for say 8 years now. But do we have enough trust on each other where I can open my network to Sukhen?
Of course.
And Sukhen open up his network for me?
Of course.
That is what I believe is quality. So I believe in that. So spending time with a few people and dedicated time over a period of time, consistently, constantly, is what builds that network. And that is what I believe in. So that is my definition of networking. Not exchanging business cards, not talking to 100 people. And whatever you talk, you should make sense. You should be able to connect to the other person.
Of course.
It's just like telling your name and telling your business. I never tell about my business.
Yeah.
I only understand what the other person is about, and how we can connect is what I try and understand. That's the first step. Then how we can follow up on that and build that and try and help each other is where the second step of trust begins. And constantly engaging and building that is how you build that and enhance that. That's my definition.
So if you let's say for me, or let's take an example, if you find someone who finds like networking events draining and fake. Okay. What is that one mindset shift that you would ask them to change?
See, before going to any event, usually when you try and attend an event, or when you go and attend this thing, any meeting, as in like not a regular one, but a networking meeting, or where you're meeting people who you don't know, where it's a generic agenda, you try and see what I can get out of it. Which is good, right? Where am I putting my time is something that you definitely have to evaluate it. But how is it going to help you in your goals, right? So we all have certain goals where we want to see ourselves, and how we can build a relation in this particular networking event which will help our goals is what you first evaluate. That's your personal evaluation. Then you start off with what you can do for that room. And how you can get the trust of that room. That's where you start off. Not what I'm just going there, what am I getting instantly is what, never look at that. Never even attend such events.
Yes.
So you get 100 event requests. If you look at Insta, or if you look around, you get like 100 opportunities to attend events and all that. Never attend is my point. Like what makes sense to you, what helps you grow, and what will add value to is what you pick. And then see how you can contribute to that first. Then build the trust of the members in that particular group. Then you start seeing, automatically you will start to see results. That's my philosophy.
So, NextDrive has grown immensely, as likewise you said, from a handful of people to a much larger team. What's that changed about how you lead, sir, over the period of years? And Yeah, could you please explain that first?
Right. So initially when we started off, there was no team at all. There were like 2 people. We started off with 2 people. Every customer call we used to handle. At that point, everything was so perfect. Every driver that used to come in used to be personally interviewed by me. And then everything was to the T.
Okay.
At that point. And our customer satisfaction was also at like skyrocketing at like 4.95. But that is not going to help us scale.
Yeah.
Right? So over a period of time, you bring in people, you delegate and all that. And the team has to be constantly coached, and you have to have the pulse. You have to monitor it. And what you speak has to be spoken by them. It's not that you speak something else, they don't understand. And for them to speak what you're speaking, they need to understand your philosophy. They need to understand the mindset that you come from. So there might be decisions like, say for example, there's a customer who is not happy. Okay. And how do you make sure that we don't lose that customer? Right. So some issue might have happened. And how do you handle that? Those are the things that can only happen not from a checklist or not from a script. They need to happen from a empathy point of view, and they need to happen from a philosophy point of view. So those are the things that we train our employees in, and that is something that we have constantly focused on as we grow, and that is how we lead as well. So we put a lot of time in our people. We're training the people who are executing it, and till date, so one point that I took from Google's handbook is, of course, now I don't know if it's happening or not. Earlier in the very initial days, and until like Sergey was the CEO, and just before he got out of it as CEO, he used to personally interview a lot of every new hire. Every new hire, he used to do that. So over a period of time, as they grew, they kind of delegated it to levels, and only certain people he did that. So till date, every employee that is hired by us, I personally interview to understand how they fit into the culture, not from a knowledge perspective or the education perspective that the team does, but just to I have a conversation with him.
Okay.
Him or her, any new person that joins in, I have a conversation to understand what the mindset is, how will they fit in. What is that? So that is something that we try and proactively try and build in the company, where the culture is quite important.
So what worked for you when it was just you and a few people, and when the team got bigger, what was that pattern that broke? And when someone in your team disagrees with the call you've made, what actually happens in that conversation, sir?
2 points, right? So first is what is different to when we started to what it is today. Initially, see, everything was done by us. So we know what is happening. The loss of control, that is something that happens, and which is good. You shouldn't be control as in like the operational decisions.
Okay.
You shouldn't be doing all those things. If you're doing operational decisions on a day-to-day basis, that's where the growth stagnates. Right? So you need to delegate, and you need to do that. So hurdles do come up when you start that transition, where a lot of challenges happen, where the people who are doing it might not be able to execute it to the way that you do it personally, right? And that did happen. So as I said, we keep monitoring every element at a metrics level. So right from reliability, quality, the rating, customer rating, service rating, the number of calls the executive is making, the receiving. If we have a call center, so the number of calls that we are receiving, and the average time that each call is spoken for, and then the rating that we get out of each call. And so these are some of the examples that I'm just telling you. Right? So everything gets measured, and we keep a tab on those things. How is it going? Is it going well? Is it going down? And initially everything was good because we were doing all these things. But over a period of time, it slightly got bad, as in like it fell down because you're delegating it to people, and the person who you hire may be a right fit or may not be a right fit. So these are all calls that you have to make. But again, as I said, is it worth your time? So if you're taking customer calls, every call you're talking to, and versus in the same hour, you're making a decision which is going to grow the company, which is the best utilization of your time. So that's the call that we would be taking personally, right? So but at the same time, you cannot compromise on the quality of the service. So how do you ensure that you're training the team, how you're ensuring that they know that you're monitoring it, and how do you bring that sense of ownership to them? So what we say is, every time you receive a call, you get a request from the customer, you put yourself in the shoes of the customer. What would you do? What if you are the customer? How would you expect the reaction from the other side? That is how you should be reacting to. That is what your answer should be. And telling a no is very easy, but trying all your options of how you can get that thing done. See, getting things done with your available resources is what your approach should be, is what we have trained our team in, and that is what we keep monitoring, whether that approach is being followed or not. So that is one change that has happened over a period of time, and this is how we have resolved it. So that is where we are at this point in time.
So can you think of a specific time in recent times or something when somebody has pushed back on you? What happened?
So again, conversations, it is always good to have disagreements.
Okay.
So if everyone is agreeing to what you're telling, it's either that they have not understood or they're not wanting to speak.
Yeah.
Both are not good. Right? So the way we conduct our meetings or the way we have a discussion is, I never speak up. As in, like, there is an issue. If there's an issue, okay, or there is something that we want to implement, okay, so I don't speak on that topic.
Okay.
I call the people who are the stakeholders, if you call, like, who are all the people involved in planning and executing that, and I sit in that meeting and I let them brainstorm about it. And I keep making all my notes of what has been the point of discussion, how is their approach, what is it that is happening and all. And I make sure that they arrive at a decision. All I do through the conversation is, I never make a decision. I make sure that the decision that we feel is right, or the decision that the team, everyone feels is right, is what is made on the table. So that's how we run the meetings. And there will be instances where we might have made decisions. And when someone else might disagree, a team member might disagree.
Yeah.
So we believe in that concept of open conversations. Let them voice it out, and I hear it out, and then understand where they're coming from. And also, if I still differ, then I give my explanation on what and where I feel it's different to what we believe in. And there might be certain elements where they don't understand. It could be from a branding perspective, or it could be from a financial perspective. They might say that, like, if we do this, it'll get us like this particular result. But will it make a financial sense? How will it impact our brand? Those are some of the elements that they might have not thought. So those are the things that we look at, right? So after we put our point of view on those elements, or wherever we feel it might not work out, then most of the cases get resolved there. But it's an open conversation. Unless we have open conversations, things don't move. And that sense of ownership never comes to the team unless you encourage that dialogue.
So let's say somebody leading a team of 5 right now and is growing to a team of 20 to 50. What's that one thing they should start doing differently that before it breaks?
Okay, so team of 5, you have personal interaction with everyone. You know how each person functions. What is it that you tell a person to get things done?
Okay.
That one-to-one mapping is always there when you have a team of 5. But when you have a team of 50, is that going to be possible? Like 50 people understanding and spending time with everyone will be very difficult. But you shouldn't lose that control of what you had when you were a team of 5.
Okay.
Right? So how do you empower people under you? So when you're 5, you might be one person that is enough. But when you're 50, you might need 6 or 7 leaders under you, or 10 leaders under you, who are leading that team of 5. And how are these 10 people aligned to you? So you're working with 10 people now. Instead of 50, you're working with 10 people. But are these 10 people thinking and working like you? That is more difficult. See, a lot of people, when And one conversation that usually employees come up, or like your team comes up with, is you tell them you give them a task and ask them to get it done. They prefer doing it in the initial days. They prefer doing it rather than giving it to someone else, because they feel that explaining it to someone else and getting it done by them is difficult than they doing it by themselves. Even though it stretches their time, they prefer doing it this way. That is usually the mindset, because they are not in a situation or not in a position to talk to the other person, handle them, get it done through them. So that is what you have to train these 10 people under you, to make sure that they are able to get it done through those 5 each. So otherwise the team will break. And if your team breaks, your company breaks.
Fair point.
So if you look at all the global CEOs or all the Fortune 500 CEOs, majority of their time goes into the culture. They spend a lot of time on the culture of the company. The reason being, they all understand that the culture is what defines the future of the company. If your people are not aligned and they're not in line with what you think, then it breaks the team. And if it breaks the team, it breaks the company.
Very much so, very much. So give me the moment NextDrive was closest to, breaking. Not the polished one, but the real moment. And what was actually happening and what were you feeling? And what made you stay in the fight, sir?
As I said, COVID. During COVID, we had to take a decision of whether we close it down or we keep continuing the operations. It was a big dilemma at that point. So, will we be able to run it? How do we sustain the cost? Because revenues coming in, there is a lot of cash rotation and there's a lot of break even happening, profits, etc. All those happen. But when you have to keep pumping in money without certainty of how long you will have to do it, right? There is no defined Excel for that. So there's no defined financial model for that. So your financial model keeps changing every week. So how do you handle such fluidic situations and how do you handle such scenarios? At that point, again, it was a fight between the brain giving all the analytics and the data, and all the data was negative. But as I said, your heart versus brain decision. The heart said no, it is going to run. The reason being, there are certain thumb rules intuitions or certain things that you feel, right? Where the customers were coming up. We were adding customers even in the dullest and slowest of months. So that is a positive sign, stating that even in such scenarios, we can survive. So that's what kept us still running. And if we had taken that call on that day, saying that we will close this down, this conversation would not have even happened. So that's what it will be.
It's always the heart versus the brain, sir. For sure. I'm a big believer, to follow your gut or you follow your heart. Definitely brain analyzes. But the heart says dekhi jayegi.
But see, that's what I was saying. When your heart says that this is the decision that you have made, your brain also looks at the data in the way you want to look at it.
100%.
So it will also fall in line. So that's what I've always believed in.
100%.
Life decisions also happen the same way. So if you have to if going back to an off topic, of course. So if you have to choose your life partner, right? There's no data there. So how would you take a call on that?
100%.
So it's always the heart. Once the heart is aligned, then the brain will automatically come up with all the right points of why you should choose this person. When your heart says no, it will come up with all the negative points of why you should not choose this person. It's always the heart.
100%. I mean, if it's an off-topic thing, I would like to, the other day I was driving and I was, there's somebody who told me interesting. We keep sharing podcasts to each other and we were discussing, and it was so simple. It's like if you control your internal world, the external world is naturally an impression of that. So this is where the whole game happens, and this is just reality what you see.
Reflection.
So give me, coming back to NextDrive, give me one decision in the last 8 years that cost you money, time, people, and what specifically did you change and how did you manage to operate after that?
One decision which has cost us money. Okay, so initially we have done a lot of B2C aspects. Okay, so B2C, my philosophy was always we should do a marketing event or a marketing element which catches the customer's eye and they have to get impressed by what we do. As in, it might not be a instant revenue generator. Business always is on trust and constant visibility, and over a period of time it converts. But initially we had a lot of our team members who were against what I was thinking. Not against as in they didn't follow this policy. As in they had quick aspects, quick elements which they wanted to run, which would give us instant customer acquisition and all that. So one way we always measure is how many customers have come in is one element that we always measure. But the second element that I personally look at is how many times the customer has used us over a period of time, and how the third element is how long the customer is with us for. Okay, if Sukhen is a customer for us, so I've known Sukhen for the last 8 years. So to get to use Sukhen, our services, how much would I have spent on it? So that is my customer acquisition cost, right? And over a period of time, how many times did Sukhen use our service? And for how long has Sukhen been using our service? So these are the three elements that I always look at. So most people don't look at the second and third elements. They just look at the first element. And in chasing the first element, we have burnt a lot of, which we have learned over a period of time. So then we have started, of course, again, I wouldn't say that it is a wrong thing. That was again an experimentation, because we didn't know how would be the customer more engaged in. Where would the customer be more engaged in? So we did a lot of experiments. I would call it experiment.
Okay.
And in experiments, you always burn money. And we burned there. But we have learned the lessons, and now we are at a stage where we know, will this work, will this not work? And if it works, how much should we put in to make that work? So all that, we're at a stage where we have quite matured now. But again, see, we want to expand to Bangalore, for example. Bangalore is a different market. Again, we'll have to do that experimentation. So the mindset or the way the city of Hyderabad works versus the way the city of Bangalore works, it's quite different. Now, tomorrow if you go to Chennai, you go to Mumbai, you go to Pune, you go to Delhi, each city is an experiment, because each city works differently. The need is different. The way the people, the customers' needs vary. The way the drivers behave there vary. Everything varies. So each city will be an experiment, and each city will be a learning for us.
So any recent situations like these you've experienced, and what was your specific role in that outcome?
So we were doing so fundraise thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are in the process of raising funds for expansion and all that. Okay. So met an investor. Okay. And everything was good. The money that we were asking and he was putting up front and all that, everything was good. In the initial conversations, it was good. But when it came to certain requirements that he had in terms of control in the company, in terms of our decision making, in terms of the control that he needed in the company and all that, that didn't create a sense of trust for us. And after a lot of deliberations, we walked out. So that is a decision that I had to take. And you have to take certain things 100%. For the good of the company.
100%.
So it might, if we had that, this happened like probably 5 to 6 months ago. If that had gone through, maybe we would have launched in Bangalore by now. But you never know, we might have even closed down. So it could have been that scenario. So at that point, the decision that had to be taken was, should we let go of launching in Bangalore or should we risk losing the company? So it was a decision that we made and we walked out of that.
So when you speak about NextDrive, I know Madhuri Bhabhi also is a big part of it. Yeah. So what does Madhuri ma'am brings to the NextDrive that you could not do without her? And what is the hardest part of building something this important with the person you love the most?
Very difficult question. So there's a very fine line there because in business, partnerships happen.
Yes.
Correct? And partnerships might work very well and partnerships might not work very well as well. But when your life partner is your business partner also, you're taking a much bigger risk.
Of course.
Where if some decision that you take or something that happens in the company, is it going to go back home? Which shouldn't happen.
Of course.
The thing that we spoke about and we were absolutely clear was both are two different things that we're doing, two different roles that we would be playing, and that is something that we spoke about and that we were absolutely clear that this is not going to come back home. And the biggest advantage was the trust factor, right? So who would you trust more than your business partner, your life partner, to be your business partner? So that trust element was by default there.
Of course.
And so the way that we have segregated it right from the beginning was, let's not interfere into each other's areas.
Okay.
So I take care of certain areas, she takes care of certain areas. And where there is a interaction involved, we have a proper professional interaction. So in the office, there is no conversation that happens as if we are wife and husband.
Okay.
It's purely two business partners or two founders talking to each other. So that's how the conversation are. At home, we try and keep our conversations about business to literally zero, because we don't want this to impact our lives and at the same time that to impact our work lives. So that's how we have built it right from the beginning, and that's how we have been able to sustain. And as I said, she takes care of finances in the company. So the person that takes care of finances is very critical for you. And looking at things in a very detailed way and looking at things to make sure that they are done in the right way in the financial aspect is something that could not have happened without her.
I think a lot of credit goes to Bobby.
Yeah, absolutely.
So where is NextDrive today? Like the drivers, the cities it's present in, the lives that the company has genuinely changed. What does the next 36 months look like, sir? Not just in number, in numbers or scaling, but more in like the humans you want to impact.
So currently we are only in Hyderabad, and as of today we have about 100 plus drivers who work for us, and there are a lot of success stories. It's not success story, it's personal stories that are there that these drivers keep telling us and all that. And I would take it as we have impacted their lives in a positive way. And coming to where we want to see ourselves, okay, the next thing that we want to do is launch in 3 other cities in the next few months, and over a period of time, which is like about the next 5 to 6 years or maybe a couple of years more, in 45 cities across India. And when it's coming to the number of drivers that we would be needing when we launch in the next 3 cities over a period of 3 to 4 years, we are looking at about almost 8,000 plus drivers.
Fabulous.
That is the number that we have in mind. So we have a detailed plan of how we want to do it and how many drivers, how many customers, etc. That's approximately the number of drivers that we would be needing across these 3-4 cities.
Fabulous.
And when it comes to 45 cities, maybe 40,000, 50,000 or maybe 1 lakh. And in addition to this, we also want to add a few other services. So currently we are only one service that we are doing, one vertical, but a few other verticals that we would be launching over a period of time. So that always adds to the numbers.
If you would like to speak about the other services, sir, if you'd like to.
Right. So one thing that we have in mind, which we will probably launch very soon, would be the commercial drivers. So you're looking at, say, ambulance drivers. You're looking at your school bus drivers. You're looking at trucks, the mini trucks, not the actual trucks. That will take some more time, but the mini trucks. So all that is going to be the commercial drivers that we would be doing. So that will be probably in the next year or so. And that will obviously add a lot of numbers. And one other thing that we would do is convert drivers into a super app. Super app, which is where anything related to your driver, your car. So one is your driver. Second, you would need car wash. You would need a car servicing, repair, or you would need accessories. All those insurances, all those areas that are related to your car, you can find it in your driver's app. So that's how we want to convert drivers over a period of time as well.
So, like Blue Tech has many other sectors. Is the drivers area is what you want to focus majorly on, or there are future plans for the company as well, sir?
So currently we are focused on drivers. As I said, we will be expanding into commercial drivers next.
Yes.
Then we would be expanding into home services.
Okay.
Then we will be expanding into hospitality services. Then the medical, the industrial.
That's the bigger vision.
That is how we want to build it over a period of time. So anything, so the vision that we have is, if you ask me about the vision and mission statement, so we have about 30 crore 30 to 35 crore blue-collared workforce in India. I'm not talking about the agricultural segment.
Yes.
It's about 30 crore plus. So this includes blue, grey, pink collared workforce. And deploying them to the 100 crore consumers is what we want to do. It could be, the consumers could be individuals, institutional, or industrial. So that's what we want.
Why this specific order, sir?
It's not in that specific, as in there is no logical reason for that. The reason why we chose it that way is, now if I talk about commercial drivers, it's a logical expansion to what we are doing. So we are doing private drivers now.
Yeah.
So the next logical expansion would be to that area. And next would be to your home services. And see, today that is the order. But again, when we actually get onto the ground to launch, there might be a lot of other factors that come in. There'll be a lot of research that will be done before we launch and all. Based on the learnings, based on the findings, based on the customer requirement and all, this might again change. So today there are a lot of competition on the home services as well, but there are a lot of gaps as well. So we would focus on the gaps first. And then from there we would be expanding into how we will be launching and all that. So it'll change. This is the plan as of today.
Okay.
Tomorrow it might change. So, but that's how the vision is.
So tell me about a driver when he joined NextDrive, and where is he now, and what does his journey personally look like?
Multiple examples like that. Okay, so there's been a guy who is years now, and he started off with, I think at that point he had just the entry level, 3 years of experience. And at that point, he was just very scared to even talk to anyone, talk to a customer. He had driving skills. He used only to drive manual vehicles. This I'm talking about 8 years ago. Okay. So eventually we trained him on automatic vehicles. So he started driving automatic vehicles, and then luxury vehicles, and then understanding the controls. See, he didn't study much. All he knows till date is just to write his name in Telugu.
Oh.
Okay. So that guy, training him in operating the controls that we have for luxury cars is what we have done. And recently, I think a couple of weeks ago, we had a very, very high profile VIP client. It's not a celebrity, but a political family and a VIP client. And this was the guy that we sent.
Wow.
And it was a very high-end vehicle that he had to operate. And we confidently sent him, and he did a very good job, and we got very good feedback as well. All he can do is write his name in Telugu.
My goodness.
So that's a transformation. Okay, so that's one example. There's one more guy. Okay, this guy, he's been with us like for 4 years now. 3.5-4 years, if I'm not wrong. And he has a M-Pharmacy degree.
M-Pharmacy degree.
Yeah. And he prefers working with us because compared to what he gets if he joins a drugstore, as in like a medical store, and working as a pharmacist at a medical store, versus what he's getting with us is much higher. Of course, he understands that might have a career growth, but this might not have that. But the flexibility that he gets here, the hours that he chooses to work and all that, and that's what is what keeps him hooked to us. And the reason why I know this story is very recently he came to the office.
Okay.
And he met me, and he said that he bought a new bike.
Wow.
And it's like, as in like he bought a bike and it's without any EMIs. He saved money working with us and all, and with that he's bought a bike. And he just came to just personally meet me and thank me. I didn't even know that this was all going through, but he just came, met me, and told me that this is his story and all that. So
this speaks so highly about the companies.
Yeah, we don't even know.
Lives are actually impacting.
Certain things we don't even know until we talk to them. So this is a story that is quite satisfying.
So like I've been talking to you, I've been knowing you for a long time, and when you talk to someone, he's well read, he's read a lot of books and all. Do you have a hobby of reading books or something?
I used to. Earlier, I used to read a lot of books, and of late, that habit of reading has converted to listening to books. So every morning, I walk for about 50 minutes. 45 to 50 minutes. So that 50 minutes is my listening time as well.
Okay.
I still keep listening to a lot of books. And one habit that I had to inculcate or build is when reading, there is a different level of concentration that you need. And when you're listening, there's a absolute amount of more focus that you
Exactly.
need. So that actually has helped me build my concentration as well.
Interesting.
So listening has been very good for me.
Nice. So any audiobook or anything you've recently read or like listened to that genuinely changed how you think?
A lot of them. I'm not able to recollect a lot of book names at this point, but the one that I've just finished listening to is about Arundhati Bhattacharya. She's been the chairman of SBI.
Okay.
So quite an inspiring story.
Okay.
Where she came from very humble roots and where she worked very hard, and she became the chairman, the first woman chairman of State Bank of India. And it's a quite a lot of learnings in that book. So that is something that I just finished listening to. So that it's just on the top of the memory, so that's why I could recollect that.
Fabulous. I do read a lot of books, and I think it's one of the best habits. So 10 years from now, which, when one of your drivers calls you, what do you want him to say his life became because of NextDrive?
A lot of personal attention that I give is the well-being of the families of the drivers. So it's not just about them, but something that about their kids as well. So if I would be very happy if I receive a call few years down the lane and where I hear one of the drivers say that their kids have been well educated and they've gotten a very good job, or they are starting a company. And I would be even more happier if one of them calls me and says that my son or daughter has started a company which is a competitor to you. I'd be even more happier to listen to that.
Fabulous.
So it would be that I'm an inspiration to them, right? So where
100%.
they've started this and they want to compete with me, yeah, wonderful. Why not?
100%.
I'd be very happy to listen to that.
So every person watching this podcast right now maybe is in this, in that phase of taking that decision. Maybe he's taken that leap. Maybe he's trying to get out of that comfortable job, or somewhere in the middle of that, middle of that phase where he's trying to build the next big thing for himself.
Right.
You've been in all these three areas.
Right.
Having a comfortable job, starting a company, taking decisions at the crisis timing. Not as a CEO, but as a leader, or just as a man of it, who has lived through all these things. What is that one thing you want to leave the audience with with today, sir?
Before you take a leap, right? So if you're in a comfortable job, taking that leap is going to be a very difficult decision, right? So if you want to take that leap, have all the right points thought through. You start something which is very passionate. So have you done the right amount of research before starting that? Will that work? Will someone pay for that? That's what I've said earlier, right? So then the second area that you have to think about is, what if I don't make money for the next 2 years? So you're getting a salary. Your family is comfortable. You're comfortable. Your family is comfortable. What if I don't get any income for the next 2 years? How will you survive?
Yeah.
I mean, just a random number. So it could be 18 months. It could be 2 years. What is it that you do? Do you have a strategy for that? Or do you have a plan in place for that? Then third area is, what if this fails? What is your fallback plan? What are you going to do about it? Are you ready for that? If all these three areas are sorted, the first is your research about your idea and your customers. That looks good. Go for it. Think through of how will you survive if you don't have any income for the next few months, years? What will you do if it fails? If all three are sounding positive, then go for it. That's what I tell anyone.
I think fabulous. I think I've always looked up to you for many things. I've always been observing and learning from you. But I think fabulous to understand what you actually think and how you take decisions, sir. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Wonderful talking to you.
Nana, likewise, sir.
Yeah.
He who has learned to serve with full dedication and moved with purpose builds what others actually dream of. Hitachandra has done exactly that. And here is what I want you to take from this conversation. Your years of service are not wasted. Your current struggle is not a detour. Your vision, however unclear it feels right now, is valid. You are in preparation, act like it.